My name is Jackie, and I made $276,753 from Airbnb by the age of 25 in 2025 alone. Let me tell you my story. I used to work a full-time job, just a typical Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 type of job, and it just drained the shit out of me. I was depressed, and I looked around. I couldn't understand how everyone was happy and okay with the life they were living, because I was also playing semi-professional soccer back then. At 5 p.m. when I clock off work, I used to go straight home, eat something really quick, go to soccer training, and then come home at 10 p.m, have a shower, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, and repeat. I had no time for myself, absolutely no time. On weekends, I used to play games, and I just had no time. I was drained, I was exhausted, and I was depressed, because I wasn't passionate about the work I was doing. Even though it was alright on paper, it was a nice job with a nice salary, I was just depressed. And then I decided I wanted to own my own home. So one day during my lunch break, I walked into the bank and asked for a loan, and surprisingly walked out with a pre-approval, which means they do a background test on you, they check your income, your savings, your credit history and everything, and in the end they say, yep, we approve you for a loan, we will lend you this amount of money. So I walked out with an approval. Within that week, I bought my first property. I was going at it with speed. I was really rushing it, but in a good way. After I got the pre-approval, I went back to my office. During work or during my lunch break, I would start contacting real estate agents, start talking to them, negotiating for prices, inspecting apartments, and finally found one that I really liked and made an offer and got accepted. The apartment was in Brisbane CBD. It was right across the road from the Grand Casino, and it was in a prime location. So yeah, I bought this property not for business, but actually for myself, because I didn't like paying rent and I wanted to pay my own mortgage rather than paying off someone else's. So yeah, life went on. I kept working the job. I owned my own home. I used to come home, go to soccer training, sleep, go to work, repeat, just the usual stuff. And it went on for a long time. And then one day I decided, nah, I've had enough of this. So I quit my job. But here's the thing, for a while I was fine, and then the interest rate spiked. There was an interest rate crisis. So the interest rates kept going up for months and months and months for over a year. And cost of living crisis was around that time as well, and I started to struggle financially. So I decided to put my apartment on Airbnb and make money that way. Surprisingly, it got booked instantly and the calendar was filled up. However, for the first year of running my business, I was just breaking even. I didn't make any profit. After all my expenses, I was just making enough to keep maybe a couple $100 a week. So I was basically just breaking even. I wasn't making any money from my business, but I was getting better and better at it. And slowly my revenue started to increase and my expenses started to decrease as well, because I knew where to get the right things and how to save costs. So yeah, it was going all right. I was working another full-time job at another consulting firm at the time. And yeah, things were going all right. I had another full-time job working the same consulting job at a different company. But then one day I got scammed. I tried to buy a car on Facebook Marketplace and I lost $10,000 trying to buy a car. And I was devastated, not gonna lie, because I didn't get anything and there was nothing I could do about it. But this was actually a blessing in disguise, because a fire lit up in me. When I lost that money, I wanted to make that money back really quick. So I started watching YouTube videos on how to make money quick. I started watching videos on flipping cars or other side hustles. And I was like sort of studying all these different ways of making money quick. And then I came to the realization, hold up, I already have an existing business. Why not focus on that and try to expand it? That sounded better. So within that week, I got 2 more listings for my Airbnb business. And that's when everything took off. My business started growing like crazy. It took some time, but I locked myself in a room and just studied the algorithm. I tried to investigate what other hosts were doing and what the successful ones had, why the successful listings were performing so well and why the non-successful ones were not. I really locked myself in a room and just studied the algorithm, studied Airbnb, studied my competition, and tried to figure everything out. And that's when everything took off. With only 3 listings, I was making $20,000 a month consistently. And it was good. Life was good. I enjoyed it. I could see my revenue increasing every single month. So I started to hire managers and admin people to help take the load off my work. And so I had more time on my hands. And that's when I decided to move to Southeast Asia. I started running my business remotely. I had the managers and admin and everyone run the day-to-day. And I was working from my laptop in Bangkok, Thailand. I had the best life ever. It was a good time. But then after a couple months living in Bangkok, I decided it's not enough. I want more. And I think this happens to everyone. When you start making a lot of money, at first the goal is to make a lot of money. You think you're going to be satisfied when you make that amount of money, but you're never satisfied. I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to buy a private jet. I wanted to buy a yacht. I wanted to do all these rich things. I wanted to do all these big things that rich people were doing. Billionaire. I wanted to become a billionaire. So I decided to go back to Brisbane and expand my business even more. And within that month, I got 3 more listings. So I had 6 listings in total. And business grew even more. It went crazy. It just exploded. But what people won't tell you and what people don't see, when I went back to Brisbane, I locked myself in a room and spent 16 hours a day just working on my computer. I didn't even have time to eat or sleep. I just kept working because I was addicted. I saw the money coming in and I was so addicted. I didn't want to do anything else but work. So I had managers and admin people all do the day-to-day tasks. I focused on building systems that work. Through trial and error, I was learning the best ways to make money, to save costs, and build big teams. That's when the business expanded like crazy. It bloated, and I was making more money than ever before. That's why I decided to move to Bali, Indonesia, and live the villa life and live the best life. I was living the dream life. Not gonna lie. I still do live the dream life. I love every single day. I wake up every single day, look at my bank account, look at all the money that comes in, and it's the best way to start the day. So now you know my story. But here's the thing, I can't share the entire step-by-step process of building an Airbnb business in this video. It would simply take too long. So if you want to learn exactly how I did it and finally get the freedom to explore the world while making enough money to actually enjoy your life, and you don't want to be stuck in a soul-sucking 9-to-5 forever when you know you have more potential, then click the link in the description to message me freedom on Instagram. DM me on Instagram and I will personally help you out. But only reach out if you're serious, as Airbnb does require an upfront investment to get started. So if you are serious and you think you have what it takes and you are a hard worker, I will help you out. Let's get started. And message me on Instagram. See you there.